Let me share something with you that most financial advisors will never tell you. There are certain financial secrets that you must guard with your life. Not because they are illegal or unethical, but because sharing them will cost you money, damage your relationships, and make you a target for people who do not have your best interests at heart. I have been wealthy for a very long time, and over the decades, I have learned through painful experience which financial information should remain private. I have watched friends and family members suffer because they shared things they should have kept to themselves. I have seen businesses destroyed, marriages ruined, and fortunes lost because someone talked when they should have stayed silent. Today, I am going to reveal the 5 financial secrets you must never share with anyone. Not your friends, not your extended family, not your coworkers, in some cases, not even your spouse until certain conditions are met. This advice might sound paranoid, but by the end of this discussion, you will understand exactly why privacy in financial matters is not just preferable. It is essential. Let me take you back to 1962. I had recently wound down my investment partnership and was beginning to build what would become my life's work. A close friend of mine, someone I had known since childhood, had also done well in business. He owned a chain of retail stores that was generating substantial profits, lone evening at dinner after a few drinks. He made a mistake that would haunt him for years. He told his brother-in-law exactly how much money he was making. Not a vague statement about doing well. The actual numbers, revenue, profit margins, his personal take, home income within 6 months. That brother-in-law had shared the information with other family members. Within a year, my friend was dealing with a steady stream of requests for loans, investments in questionable ventures, and outright gifts. Family members who had never shown much interest in him suddenly wanted to be close. Relatives he barely knew appeared asking for help with medical bills, business failures, and children's education. The requests were not unreasonable individually, but collectively, they became a burden that strained every family relationship he had when he said no to one request. He became the villain who had money but would not share it. When he said yes, he established a precedent that generated more requests. He told me years later that sharing that one number was the biggest mistake of his financial life. That story taught me a lesson I have never forgotten. Financial privacy is not about being secretive or antisocial. It is about protecting yourself and your relationships from dynamics that money inevitably creates. When people know your numbers, they cannot help but change how they relate to you. That change is rarely for the better. Before I walk you through the 5 secrets you must never share, let me give you a framework for thinking about financial privacy. There are 3 reasons why keeping certain information private is so important. The first reason is protection from exploitation. When people know your financial situation, some will try to take advantage of you. This is not necessarily malicious. Often it is simply that knowing you have resources makes people more comfortable asking for those resources. The requests that would seem presumptuous if they thought you were struggling suddenly seem reasonable if they know you are wealthy. The second reason is preservation of relationships. Money changes how people see you. If they know you have significantly more than them, it introduces an asymmetry that affects every interaction. They may feel inferior, resentful, or entitled to share in your success. If they know you have less than they assumed, they may lose respect or see you as less competent. Either way, the knowledge changes the relationship, usually not for the better. The third reason is maintenance of strategic advantage. In negotiations, in business, in investing information, asymmetry matters. If the other party knows your financial situation, they can use that information against you. They know how badly you need the deal, how much you can afford to pay, how desperate you are or are not. Keeping your finances private preserves your negotiating leverage. With that framework in mind, let me share the 5 financial secrets you must never share. The first secret, and this might be the second most important one I will discuss, is your exact net worth. Never tell anyone the precise value of your assets. Not the exact number, not even a close approximation. This information should be guarded as carefully as any other sensitive personal data. When people know your net worth, they immediately begin calculating. They calculate what percentage of your wealth a request represents. They calculate whether you can afford to help them. They calculate whether your lifestyle is appropriate for your means. They calculate whether you are being generous enough or stingy. These calculations poison relationships. A friend who asks you to invest $50,000 in their business has no idea whether that represents a significant portion of your savings or pocket change. If they know your net worth, they know. And that knowledge changes the dynamic of the request entirely. I have been asked countless times over the years how much I am worth. I deflect every single time. Even when the number is public information due to regulatory filings, I do not confirm or discuss it in personal settings. The public number is abstract. A personal confirmation makes it real and invites the complications I have described. The appropriate response to questions about net worth is a polite but firm deflection. You can say that you do not discuss specific numbers. You can say that you are comfortable but prefer to keep the details private. You can change the subject. What you should never do is provide the actual figure, even to people you trust, even to close family members. The exception to this rule is your spouse and potentially your financial and legal advisors. These people need to know for practical reasons. But even with a spouse, I would advise against sharing specific numbers until the relationship has been legally formalized and you are confident it will endure. Too many people have shared financial details during a romance, only to have that information weaponized during a divorce. The second secret you must never share is your salary or income. This is actually the most important secret to protect because it is the one most commonly violated. People ask about income casually, as if it were a reasonable topic of conversation. It is not. Your income is deeply private information that should be shared with almost no one. When coworkers know your salary, it creates problems regardless of whether you earn more or less than them. If you earn more, then they may resent you or question why you deserve more than they do. If you earn less, they may pity you or lose respect for your abilities. Either way, the workplace dynamic is damaged. I have seen careers destroyed by salary disclosures. An employee mentions her bonus at a company event. Others who received less feel slighted. Morale plummets, productivity drops. Sometimes the person who disclosed becomes a target for termination simply because her presence now creates tension. Family dynamics around income are even more fraught. If your siblings know you earn more than them, it affects every family interaction decisions about who pays for what, who hosts holidays, who helps aging parents. All of these become entangled with income comparisons that would not exist if the numbers were unknown. I keep my income private even from people who have a general sense that I am wealthy. There is a difference between knowing someone is rich and knowing exactly how much they earned last year. The former is a general impression. The latter is specific knowledge that enables specific calculations and comparisons. When people ask what you earn, and they will ask, deflect firmly. You can say that you prefer not to discuss compensation. You can say that you are paid fairly and leave it at that. You can turn the question around and ask why they want to know. Most people will realize they have overstepped and back off. The third secret you must never share is your investment portfolio and strategy. Never reveal which specific stocks you own, which funds you have invested in, or what your overall investment approach is. This information should be as private as your medical records. There are several reasons why investment secrecy matters. First, if people know what you own, they will second guess your decisions. They will tell you why you should sell something or buy something else. They will share articles about how your investments are doomed or destined to soar. This noise interferes with your ability to think clearly and execute your strategy. Second, if people know your investment returns, they will compare themselves to you if you have done better. They may feel inadequate or resentful. If you have done worse, they may lose confidence in your judgment. Neither outcome is helpful for the relationship. Third, if your strategy is successful, Others will want to copy it. This might seem flattering, but it creates complications. If they copy and do well, they may not credit you and might even compete with you for the same opportunities. If they copy and do poorly, they will blame you for their losses. Either outcome damages the relationship. Fourth, revealing your positions can actually move markets if you have significant wealth. If people know what I am buying, they might run me, or bid up prices before I can complete my purchases. This is why institutional investors keep their positions confidential until they are required to disclose them. When people ask about your investments, be vague. You can say that you are diversified. You can say that you prefer to keep investment decisions private. You can discuss investing in general terms without revealing your specific positions. The goal is to redirect conversations away from your particular portfolio. I even keep my investment thinking private from most Berkshire employees. Only a handful of people know what I am considering before I act. This compartmentalization protects both my ability to execute and the integrity of my decision-making process. The fourth secret you must never share is any significant financial windfall before it is finalized. Never tell anyone about an inheritance you expect to receive, a business sale that is in negotiation, a legal settlement that is pending, or any other large sum that might come your way. Wait until the money is actually in your account before breathing a word. The reason is simple. People will spend your windfall before you receive it. They will begin imagining how your newfound wealth might benefit them. They will adjust their expectations of your generosity. And if the windfall fails to materialize, which happens more often than you might think, you will have created expectations you cannot fulfill. I knew a man who told his family he was selling his company for $12 million. The deal was signed, the due diligence was complete. Everything seemed certain. So he shared the news with his children and siblings, who immediately began making plans. One child decided to quit her job. Another put a deposit on a vacation home. His sister asked for a loan against his upcoming proceeds. Then the buyer's financing fell through. The deal collapsed. He was left with a company he had mentally moved on from, and a family that had already begun spending money he never received. The disappointment and resentment lasted for years. The lesson is to never count wealth until it is yours. Do not discuss pending transactions, expected inheritances, or anticipated bonuses. These things fall through constantly. Keep the information to yourself until the money has actually arrived, and decide carefully whether and how to share the news. This applies even to inheritances you feel certain about. Wills can be changed, estates can be smaller than expected, legal challenges can delay or reduce distributions until you have received the funds. Treat the information as confidential. The fifth secret you must never share is your financial problems or weaknesses. Never reveal that you are struggling with debt, that your investments have lost money, that your business is failing, or that you are in any kind of financial distress. This information will be used against you. This might seem counterintuitive. You might think that sharing problems would generate sympathy and support. Sometimes it does, but more often it generates predatory behavior. People who know you are desperate will offer lowball prices for your assets. Lenders will charge higher rates or refuse credit entirely. Business partners will demand better terms. Employers will feel emboldened to underpay you. Financial weakness also damages your reputation in ways that persist long after the weakness is resolved. If people learn you went through bankruptcy or made bad investments or struggled with debt, that information colors how they see you forever. They will question your judgment. They will wonder if you have truly recovered. They will hesitate to trust you with opportunities. I have always maintained an image of financial strength even during periods when things were not going well. Early in my career, there were times when investments went against me and I was under significant pressure. I never let anyone outside my immediate circle know. I maintained my composure, my confidence, and my privacy. This allowed me to navigate the difficulties without the additional burden of damaged reputation. When you are struggling financially, the temptation to unburden yourself is strong. Resist it, talk to a financial advisor or therapist if you need support, but do not share your troubles widely. The short-term relief of venting is not worth the long-term cost of being seen as financially weak. Now let me synthesize these 5 secrets and explain the deeper principle that connects them. The common thread is that financial information creates power dynamics. When someone knows more about your finances than you know about theirs, they have power over you. They can use that information to manipulate, exploit, or judge you. By keeping your finances private, you maintain equal footing in relationships. People relate to you as a person, not as a walking bank account or a potential victim. You can be generous when you choose without being expected to be generous, because someone knows you can afford it. You can decline requests without justifying why someone with your means would say no. Financial privacy also protects your own psychology. When your finances are public, you start to see yourself through others' eyes. You worry about whether your spending is appropriate for your wealth. You feel pressure to maintain appearances. You lose the freedom to make choices based purely on your own values and preferences. I have enjoyed enormous financial privacy for most of my life, despite being a public figure. I live in the same house I bought in 1958. I drive ordinary cars. I eat at modest restaurants. People who encounter me in daily life often have no idea of my financial situation. That anonymity is precious to me. It allows me to live normally, to have genuine interactions, to be treated as a human being rather than a celebrity or a piggy bank. Let me give you some practical advice for maintaining financial privacy in a world that constantly pressures you to share. First, develop standard responses to common questions. When someone asks about your income, net worth, or investments, you should not have to think about how to respond. Have your deflection ready. Practice it until it feels natural. A smooth deflection shuts down inquiry without creating awkwardness. Second, be consistent. If you share financial information with some people but not others, the people you shared with will eventually talk to the people you did not share with. Inconsistency creates confusion and resentment. Better to maintain privacy universally. Third, do not share financial information with anyone who has not demonstrated complete trustworthiness over an extended period. The person who seems like a close friend today might be an ex-friend tomorrow, and they will take your secrets with them. Time is the only reliable test of trustworthiness. Fourth, be especially careful on social media. The urge to post about financial successes is strong. You bought a new car, closed a big deal, received a bonus. These posts feel like celebrating, but they are actually broadcasting financial information to hundreds or thousands of people, most of whom you would never share such information with in person. Keep your finances off social media entirely. Fifth, teach your children financial privacy from a young age. Children naturally share information without understanding the consequences. They will tell their friends how much the family house cost, or how much dad makes, or how much inheritance grandma left. Train them early that financial matters are private family business, not to be discussed outside the home. 6, extend financial privacy to your extended family as well. Just as you should not share your finances with them, encourage them not to share theirs with you. This creates a family culture of privacy that protects everyone and prevents the jealousy and resentment that financial comparisons generate. Let me address some objections, because I know this advice might feel extreme to some. The first objection is that financial privacy is impossible in today's world. Public records, social media, credit reporting, regulatory filings. There is so much financial information available that trying to maintain privacy seems futile. It is true that perfect privacy is impossible, but you can still control what you directly share. The difference between information that someone could theoretically find if they tried and information that you voluntarily hand them is enormous. Most people will not do research on your finances. They will simply believe whatever you tell them or assume based on appearances. Control what you share and you control the narrative. The second objection is that financial privacy conflicts with authenticity. We are told to be open and honest in our relationships. Keeping secrets seems to contradict that value. But privacy is not the same as dishonesty. You are not lying about your finances. You are simply declining to share certain information. Everyone maintains zones of privacy. You do not share every detail of your health, your relationships, or your inner thoughts. Finances belong in that zone of privacy. This is not inauthentic. It is appropriate boundaries. The third objection is that financial privacy is elitist. Only wealthy people worry about others knowing their wealth because only wealthy people have wealth to protect. But financial privacy matters at every income level. Someone struggling financially benefits from privacy because it protects them from being seen as a target for low offers or being treated with condescension. Someone with moderate means benefits because it prevents awkward comparisons with friends and family who have more or less. Privacy is not about being rich. It is about maintaining autonomy and healthy relationships, regardless of your financial situation. The fourth objection is that sharing financial information builds community. If we all talked more openly about money, we could learn from each other, hold each other accountable, and reduce the shame around financial struggles. There is some truth to this in abstract discussions about financial principles. You can talk about budgeting strategies, investment philosophies, and money management without revealing your specific numbers. But sharing your specific financial situation creates the dynamics I have described. General financial education and community can coexist with personal financial privacy. Let me close with a reflection on why this topic matters so deeply. To me, I have seen money destroy relationships that should have lasted lifetimes. I have seen families torn apart by disputes over inheritance, by resentment over perceived inequality. By the corrosive effect of financial comparisons, I have seen friendships end because one party felt entitled to share in another's success. These tragedies are almost always preventable. They stem not from greed or malice, but from information. When people know too much about each other's finances, they cannot help but react to that information in ways that damage relationships. Remove the information and you remove the catalyst for conflict. I want you to have wealth. I want you to build financial security for yourself and your family. But I also want you to have relationships, peace of mind, and the freedom to enjoy your success without the complications that public knowledge creates. Financial privacy is the key to having all of these things simultaneously. Guard your secrets. Share your wealth selectively and on your own terms. Maintain the boundaries that protect both your money and your relationships. This is wisdom that took me decades to learn. I share it with you now in hopes that you can benefit from it much sooner. Your finances are your business. Keep them that way. But let me go even deeper on some of these points because I think the nuances matter enormously in how you apply this advice. The question of what to share with your spouse deserves more attention. I said earlier that your spouse is an exception to the privacy rules, and that is generally true. A marriage is a financial partnership. Both parties need to understand the full picture to make good decisions together. Hiding finances from a spouse is a recipe for conflict and poor outcomes. However, the timing and manner of sharing matters. I would advise against complete financial disclosure early in a relationship before marriage. Before you are certain this person will be your lifelong partner, maintain some privacy. You can discuss general financial philosophies, talk about income ranges, share your approach to spending and saving, but the specific numbers, the exact net worth, the detailed portfolio, keep those private until you are legally committed. The reason is simple protection. Relationships end. If you have shared every financial detail with someone who later becomes an expert, they carry that information into their new life. They might share it with others. They might use it against you in legal proceedings. They might simply resent you for having more than them and spread negativity. Protecting yourself during the dating and engagement phase is not a lack of trust. It is prudent risk management. Once you are married, full disclosure becomes appropriate and necessary. But even then, have conversations about how you will handle financial privacy as a couple. Agree that neither of you will share the family finances with extended family, friends, or coworkers. Present a united front on privacy. This prevents situations where one spouse's indiscretion creates problems for both. I also want to elaborate on the professional implications of financial privacy. In the workplace, salary information is particularly sensitive. Many companies explicitly prohibit salary discussions, though the legal enforceability of such prohibitions varies. Regardless of policy, I recommend keeping your compensation completely private from colleagues. This extends to equity compensation, bonuses, and any other financial benefits of your employment. If you received a stock grant or a large bonus, do not mention it. If you negotiated a higher salary than your peers, do not reveal it. If you are being considered for a raise or promotion that would increase your earnings, do not discuss it until it is finalized, and even then keep the details private. The professional risk of salary disclosure is significant. Colleagues who learn you earn more may feel slighted and become less cooperative. They may complain to management, creating an uncomfortable situation for everyone. They may spread the information further, damaging your reputation as someone who discusses sensitive matters indiscreetly. None of these outcomes benefits you. I have seen executives fired, not for poor performance, but for creating compensation-related discord by sharing information that should have remained private. The disruption to team dynamics was considered more damaging than the executive's contributions. This is an extreme outcome, but not a rare one. In business negotiations, financial privacy takes on strategic dimensions. Never reveal how much you can afford to pay, how badly you need a deal, or how much financial pressure you are under. This information will be used to extract maximum concessions from you. When buying a home, the seller and their agent want to know your budget so they can price accordingly. Do not tell them. Say you want to see properties in a range without specifying your maximum. When buying a car, the dealer wants to know your monthly payment limit so they can structure a deal that hits exactly that number regardless of total cost. Do not tell them negotiate on total price, not monthly payment in business acquisitions. The seller wants to know how strategically important the acquisition is to you and how much capital you have available. The more they know, the more they can demand. Keep your cards close. Make them guess at your situation. Asymmetric information favors the party with more privacy. This applies to the selling side as well. If you are selling a business or asset, do not reveal how urgently you need to sell or what your minimum acceptable price is. Buyers will use this information to push you to the lowest possible price. Maintain the appearance of patience and alternatives even if you have neither. And let me discuss the specific tactics people use to extract financial information so you can recognize and deflect them. Understanding these techniques helps you maintain privacy when others are trying to breach it. The most common technique is the casual question. Someone asks what you paid for your house, how much you make, or how your investments are doing. The question is posed casually, as if it were a normal topic of conversation. The casualness is designed to make refusal seem awkward or unfriendly. Recognize this for what it is: an attempt to extract private information under the guise of small talk. Respond with equal casualness. Oh, I do not really discuss specific numbers. Then change the subject. Do not apologize or explain at length. A brief deflection followed by a topic change is the appropriate response. Another technique is comparison sharing. Someone tells you their financial information and then waits expectantly for you to reciprocate. They say they just got a raise to a specific amount, or their house appreciated to a certain value, or their portfolio returned a particular percentage. The implicit expectation is that you will share equivalent information. Do not fall for this. Their decision to share their finances does not obligate you to share yours. You can respond with congratulations on their news without offering any details about yourself. If they press, you can say that you prefer to keep your finances private and appreciate them understanding. A third technique is the indirect question. Rather than asking directly about your finances, someone asks about your spending. They ask where you are going on vacation, what car you drive, what neighborhood you live in, where your children go to school. Each of these is a proxy for financial information. By assembling your spending patterns, they can estimate your income and wealth. Be aware of this indirect probing. You do not need to answer questions about your spending in detail. Vague answers are appropriate. We are taking a trip out west. I drive whatever is practical. We live in a nice neighborhood. The kids are at a good school. Specific details enable estimates you do not want people making. A fourth technique is the financial advice request. Someone asks for your advice about their own financial situation, and in the course of the conversation, ask what you would do, what you have done, or how you handle similar issues. The advice request is a cover for extracting information about your own finances. You can provide general advice without revealing your specifics. If someone asks how much of their portfolio should be in stocks, you can discuss general principles without saying what percentage you personally hold. If they ask how much you save for retirement, you can recommend they save as much as possible without revealing your exact contribution. A fifth technique is the vulnerable disclosure. Someone shares something difficult about their own finances, perhaps that they are struggling with debt or worried about retirement, and asks if you have ever faced similar challenges. The vulnerability is designed to create intimacy that encourages you to open up in return. You can be empathetic and supportive without disclosing. You can say that you understand financial stress and offer general encouragement without confirming or denying any personal experience. You can suggest resources like financial advisors or books without implying that you have or have not used them yourself. Let me also address the role of financial privacy in inheritance planning, because this is an area where mistakes are common and consequences are severe. When you create an estate plan, you must necessarily share financial information with your attorney and perhaps a financial planner. These professionals are bound by confidentiality obligations and should maintain your privacy. Be explicit with them about your desire for discretion. Instruct them not to discuss your affairs with anyone, including family members, without your explicit permission. The more difficult question is what to share with your heirs. Should your children know what they stand to inherit? Should they know the total size of the estate? Should they know how it will be divided among them? My strong recommendation is to share as little as possible for as long as possible. Children who know a large inheritance is coming often make different life choices than they would otherwise. They may be less motivated to build their own careers. They may spend more freely, assuming the inheritance will cover any shortfall. They may begin to feel entitled to money that is not yet theirs. There is also the risk of conflict. If children know they will receive unequal shares, resentment begins building immediately. If they know the total estate size, they may second. Guess how parents are spending money that they view as their future inheritance. Keep them in the dark about specifics until they actually receive the bequest. Some parents worry that this approach will create surprises and conflict after their death. But in my experience, conflicts over inheritance happen regardless of advance notice. What changes is the timing. If you disclose early, the conflict happens while you are alive to witness it. If you maintain privacy, the conflict happens after you are gone. Neither outcome is ideal, but at least the latter does not poison your remaining years with your children. The exception is when you plan to leave significantly more to some children than others for specific reasons. In that case, you might consider explaining your reasoning directly to each child so they hear it from you rather than being surprised by a legal document. But even then, you can explain the reasoning without revealing exact amounts. Financial privacy extends to charitable giving as well. Many people make their donations publicly, and there are legitimate reasons to do so. Public giving can inspire others, create accountability, and generate positive publicity for causes you care about, but there are also good reasons to give privately. Anonymous giving protects you from solicitations. Once you are known as a donor to one organization, every similar organization will contact you. The solicitations are endless and time-consuming. Anonymous giving lets you support causes you care about without becoming a target. Private giving also protects relationships. If people know the scale of your giving, they will make judgments about it. They will think you should give more, or give to different causes, or give to them instead. These judgments affect how people see you and relate to you. By keeping your giving private, you avoid becoming a topic of conversation and criticism. I have made substantial gifts over the years, some publicly and some privately. The private gifts have been far more satisfying. They allowed me to support causes without dealing with the complications of publicity. The recipients were grateful, and I enjoyed helping without any of the side effects that public giving can create. Let me offer one final perspective on why financial privacy matters in a world that increasingly pressures us to share everything. Maintaining zones of privacy is an act of self-preservation. Your finances are not entertainment for others. They are not data points for comparison. They are not conversation fodder for acquaintances. Your financial life is yours. You built it through your work, your discipline, your choices. You have the right to keep it private. Exercising that right is not selfish or secretive. It is healthy boundary, setting that protects both your wealth and your relationships. The 5 secrets I have shared today are your armor against the complications that financial disclosure creates. Guard your net worth, protect your income, keep your investments private. Never discuss windfalls until they arrive, and never reveal your weaknesses. These are not just good practices. They are essential habits for anyone who wants to build wealth while maintaining peace of mind and healthy relationships. Master them, and you will navigate the financial dimensions of life with far less friction and far more freedom. The world does not need to know your numbers, and you do not need to share them.